What's up everyone, this is TV Talks with Tom and I am here with a recap for Survivor Winners at War episode 13, and this time we saw 2 eliminations. We start with everyone back at camp after Kim was sent to the edge of extinction, but don't worry, she's still technically in the game. Michelle is feeling exposed after the whole tribe now knows she was willing to let Jeremy use her 50-50 coin, yet he didn't use it and he survived. They talk for a while and then he eventually gives her the coin back. Jeremy and Tony jokingly disagree on how many days are left. Jeremy thinks this is work, but Tony says he's on vacation. Speaking of Tony, Cops R Us are still back in action. Sarah and Tony continue to solidify their bond and alliance. Ben wants Jeremy out next, but Sarah wants Nick out. Sarah lets Ben believe that he is calling the shots, so that he doesn't stray away from Cops R Us. It's the first immunity challenge of the episode now. This time it's the classic throw a ball down a slide in the air whilst you run through a wooden structure to catch it at the other end. Whew, I'm surprised I managed to get that one in a sentence. Once 2 balls have been caught, it's time to dig under a beam and solve a good old Survivor slide puzzle. Let's get started. Jeremy's off to a strong start with his first ball, followed by Sarah, Denise and then Nick. Jeremy gets his second and Tony manages to get his first, but Jeremy begins digging through the beam. Tony, Ben, Sarah and Nick quickly catch up and they begin digging also. Michelle is yet to catch a ball. Come on, Michelle! Jeremy makes his way under the beam and starts the puzzle, quickly followed by Ben, Sarah and Tony. This is anyone's game at this point. Nick finally gets through and Denise gets her second ball. Still trying to get her first, it's Michelle. Come on, Michelle! Denise digs under the beam and begins the puzzle. Tony seems like he's onto something. Jeremy seems like he's onto something. Denise seems like she's onto something. Until Nick hits the nail on the head and wins individual immunity. Come on, Michelle! Oh, I should probably stop chanting that now, but good try, Michelle. Time for some more strategy now back at camp, and Nick, Michelle and Jeremy are adamant that Denise needs to be the next person voted out. Ben pretends to be on board, hashtag keeping up appearances, then he tries to stir the pot between Jeremy and Michelle in order to cause mistrust. He tells Jeremy to try and get the 50-50 coin from her in order to make Michelle think that she is going to be voted out. Jeremy begins to smell something fishy and it's not the ocean. Michelle starts getting paranoid and says she is definitely playing the coin for herself. Jeremy and Michelle then throw around the idea of voting Ben out. Everything is all up in the air. He tries to get Tony and Nick on board so they would have a majority of 4. Sarah and Tony still think to themselves it's best to get rid of Jeremy. So many names are flying around here, folks. Good job. It's time for tribal. Times get emotional as the survivors talk about mistrust they had for people the first time they played the game. Jeremy couldn't trust his colleagues. Ben couldn't trust his wife. And Michelle? Well, Michelle couldn't trust her Uber driver. It's time to vote. Anybody going to play an idol? Michelle wants to use her 50-50 coin. She flips the coin and she lands on safe. It's time to read the votes. Michelle does not count. Michelle does not count. Ben, Jeremy, 2 votes each, 1 vote left. 15th person voted out, Jeremy. So long, Jeremy. He wants to know who did it and Tony confesses. It's off to the edge for you, Jeremy. The tribe has spoken. Don't forget, it's bequeath time. There's 2 for Michelle. Part 2 of the episode now, and Tony reassures Ben that he has his back. Michelle is annoyed with Nick for leaving her out of the vote. However, Michelle is left scrambling, so she is willing to let it go. She also reveals to Sarah that she thinks Tony is running the show. Come on, Michelle. Loose lips sink ships. Don't do this when you're on the bottom. Over on the edge, Jeremy is the latest to move in. They welcome Jeremy with a good old slap-up meal. And by slap-up meal, I mean a scoop of rice on a leaf. Hashtag luxury. Yule reveals a clue to the group about a throne of stone. Everyone sprints off like Usain Bolt to get there first, but it's the Edge's resident CrossFit trainer who gets there first. You guessed it, it's Natalie Anderson. She has the power to give anyone in the game a disadvantage at the next immunity challenge to give to someone at the price of any amount of fire tokens. Deep in the forest, Nick opens his bag and just like magic, he finds it. That'll be 8 fire tokens. See what? Nevertheless, he uses 6 of his own and 2 of Michelle's. Jeez, I mean Natalie must be richer than Bill Gates at this point. Time for another shot at immunity now, and Ben finds out that the disadvantage had anonymously been played on him. This time it's the good old domino rally. You gotta place your dominoes without knocking them over so you can hit the gong at the end once it is complete. Ben has 30% more dominoes and 30% more beam to place them on. Everyone is off to a strong start apart from Ben, who drops his first domino. Despite the disadvantage, however, Ben manages to catch up. Michelle is halfway but one of hers falls off. Denise begins to fall behind slightly as everyone else continues to storm ahead until Michelle decides to give her rally a go. She hits the gong and wins individual immunity. The person on the bottom is now on the top. Come on, Michelle! Now, back at camp thinking she will be voted out, Denise says she will give everyone her fire tokens in exchange for some rice. She wants to make sure that if she is going to the edge, she will have a full belly, so the deal is done. Remember, this is Winners at War, and nothing is ever straightforward. Nick wants Ben out in the scare that he may beat him in the fire-making challenge. Tony is on board until spy nest time. He overhears Denise saying that he is the biggest threat, so now he wants Denise to go. Once again, this ain't going to be straightforward. It's tribal time. Denise tells everyone about her full belly plan, and Adam doesn't buy it. After some backwards and forwards talking, it's time to vote. No advantages played. First vote, Nick. Denise. Denise. Nick. 2 votes Nick, 2 votes Denise. Next vote, Nick. 16th person voted out, Nick. Well, that's the end of the road for Nick, unless he wins the battle back next week. No fire tokens means no bequeathing. Next week we will see somebody from the Edge return to the game, but who will it be? Thank you everyone for watching, and that's all from me. I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.